I want to welcome everyone to the International Elephant Foundation's Conservation Chat. We're really excited to see everyone today, and we have people joining us from all corners of the globe. We have a really exciting discussion happening today. It's something that we've never really done before. It's new for us, and so we'll get to that a little bit later. As I said, I'm Julie Bates. I'm the Donor Relations Manager for IEF. And we have some other staff members on the line with us as well. Deborah Olson, our Executive Director, is here, as well as Sarah Conley, our Director of Conservation. A few housekeeping notes before we dive in. I just want to remind everyone to please keep your microphones on mute and your cameras off as we go through the presentation. That really helps us with bandwidth. We have people who are logging in from all over the world and from many places that might have limited internet access. Also, just so everybody knows, we are recording this session. And then if you have questions for our presenters, we encourage you to put those in the chat. And towards the end of the presentation, we will get to the questions. And we look for this presentation to last about 45 minutes, and then maybe we'll have some questions at the end. And at the end, if we do have time, we might ask you to turn your cameras on and maybe ask questions directly. So we'll just see how it goes. I think that covers everything. So I guess at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and she is going to introduce our wonderful guests today.
Thank you, Julie. Welcome, everyone. Today's conservation chat is wholly unique as we take you to the San Diego Zoo Safari Park's brand new Elephant Valley. We want to thank our colleagues in San Diego for suggesting this new format, and in a way, they're sort of being our guinea pigs for this method today. So bear with us if there are any technical difficulties, but this could open up some more possibilities for doing this in range countries. So we're very excited. Elephant Valley is an immersive habitat where guests can step into savanna-like environment and see African elephants up close. We are excited to hear about this incredible project and the vital conservation work that they do. Today, we are joined by 5 San Diego Zoo Safari Park team members. We have Christy Burtis, Vice President of Wildlife Care and IEF Secretary and Board Member. We have Mindy Albright, Curator of Elephants. We have Katie Foley, Senior Wildlife Care Specialist, Lauren Hogan, Wildlife Care Supervisor of Elephants, and Evan Miracle, Senior Wildlife Care Specialist. So we have a panel of wonderful experts, and we're going to start with our board member and one of our friends, Christy Burtis. Take it away, Christy.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Julie and Debbie. It's my honor to start off this conservation chat. We are so excited to share with you the story of Elephant Valley, and I'm going to start off by sharing how our guests are entering into this space. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera around because you probably want to see the habitat and not me. So one thing that I'm super proud of is as our guests enter in through this bridge, all of the wood that you see along the pathway here was actually repurposed from Timbo Stadium. So the area where we used to do shows and presentations. It was really important for us to honor our past and to appreciate our past. So all of the wood there is reclaimed and repurposed for this beautiful bridge. Other wood that's along the side of the bridge is also created out of wood from the safari park. So as our guests start to enter into the savannah, it was really important for us to meet people where they are in conservation. And of course, I'm sure everyone on this call is a lover of elephants. I don't know how anybody in this world could not appreciate and love this magnificent animal. However, there are some people who maybe are not as connected, but that's our goal. Our goal is to connect our guests with elephants, but also the environment and the challenges that they have in the environment. So as they start to enter in, I'm going to go ahead and walk to give you kind of a look as you're coming into this space. Over 300 plants were created for this project. These all represent endangered African plants and trees so that our guests really start to appreciate the type of habitats elephants live in. And of course, we were able to collect some palms that naturally were growing in this very unique way, but it actually replicates what elephants do in the environment. So we wanted people to walk into the space, to know what it was like to walk in a space where elephants live. When you first come in, you see termite mounds. And of course, many of you know these mounds can be torn apart so elephants can take in that rich mineral soil. But then that can be the start of creating a mud bog, which you'll see a little bit later here. And as we continue on, an important element are these talking sticks. So we have a great connection and partnership in Kenya. And so these talking sticks are points of interest for our guests to stop to hear about the stories and our connections with Kenya. And the talking sticks represent something that I think we all should do in Western society, and that is no matter what your title is or where you are in the tribe, once the stick is passed to you, then the floor is yours to discuss. And the time it takes between passing those sticks or time for reflection, time for silence to think about what you just heard. So there's moments along the path for our guests to stop and to really think and reflect on what they're seeing here. So some more palms there that are down. And one of my favorite elements are actual footprints from our herd here at the safari park. So these footprints not only give our guests an opportunity to see how large their feet are, but it's another opportunity to tell the story of how impactful elephants are for so many other species in Africa. So the footprints, as many of you know, become micro ecosystems. Rain and water can gather in these footprints, and at times they can be survival for many bugs, amphibians, reptiles that call African savanna their home as well. So we're about to enter in actual Elephant Valley, where you see this beautiful tree that has been taken down by the elephant. And as we continue to walk in, more footprints, more beautiful trees. There's a little dik-dik. We have acacia, thorny trees, many other plants, so that we can really share how impactful this environment is and how important elephants are to sustaining many of the plants and trees by replanting seed through their waste material. As we enter in, we talk a lot about our Savannah Conservation Hub, the work that we do around the world. We are very proud collaborators and partners with International Elephant Foundation. And these paintings are for people to get it up close to perhaps what it would be like to stand near an elephant. As we walk in, we have a baraza. Again, this is a gathering place for people, communities to come together to share stories about their life, share stories about conservation and the importance of humans, making sure that we make good decisions, not just to help others, but also in our own backyard. We talk about the story of water and how important water is, and the coexistence work that's done in Africa to create watering areas for elephants that are separate from humans. And then as we enter in, one of my favorite 2 trees, cocoa booms that were actually planted 54 years ago next month when the safari park opened. So that's a little look into some of the storytelling that we start off to share with our guests. But I'm going to turn it over to our curator of elephants to tell you more about our magnificent herd.
Thank you for that, Christy. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Elephant Valley. My name is Mindy Albright, and I'm the curator of elephants. I've had the privilege of caring for this herd for 22 years. And knowing the impact elephants have on our guests was really important part of the design of this project. We wanted guests to feel like they were walking amongst the elephants. And here in Elephant Valley, guests actually walk down between the 2 habitats. They get a close personal look at the herd. They can sit and watch them, relax, enjoy the herd as they live in this beautiful space. Behind me here, we have Ndula and Zuli, mother and son. And the guests can get close enough to watch them eat, see the wrinkles on their skin, see their eyelashes, get a little bit of an intimate experience as they're connecting with the conservation work that we do here at the safari park. The herd has 8 members in it. We have 3 family groups, And you can see the fission and fusion of the social interactions throughout this space. The habitat was designed with this in mind, and Katie's going to give you a little intro to that in just a little bit. But the herd here, working so closely with them, allows us to get a trust-based relationship where we can contribute to the conservation and the continued learning. And when guests walk through the space, they get an opportunity to see the wildlife care specialists interact and care for the herd, set up their habitat space, provide enriched experiences, and then just sit back and relax and watch the herd as they navigate this space and live a beautiful life here. And Dula hears me talking and she's wondering how come I'm up here. And I'm going to flip my camera around so you guys can see the pathway that the guests see. So the guests get to walk right between the two habitats. And you can see just how close they'll be able to get to see the details of their body, to watch how they utilize their trunk, how they touch each other, they interact socially, they can hear them eat, they can smell them, which is also a fun fact for the kids. They really love that. And this pathway walks right down between the two habitats. Something else that's important, we wanted to evoke an emotion, an experience for guests to take away. And one of those opportunities is this level ground viewing space. And I'll take you in there, but I'm gonna stop talking so I don't get glitchy, and then I'll tell you more about it when we exit. Off in the distance, I'm not sure if you can see the legs between the trees for some of the herd that's in our east habitat, but the elephants are out there, and the guests being on level ground and sort of peeking in a way where the elephants are not directly interacting with the guests gives them a moment to sit and just observe them in silence, and to get to peek into the window of their environment and their habitat really close. So it gives guests a great opportunity to get so close to the elephants. And then once guests leave the viewing cave, they walk back down the pathway, and the 2 yards really open up for a beautiful view. You can see Mukutano House. That's a place where guests can come and eat and relax at the west watering hole and observe the elephant herd. And now I'm going to turn it over to Katie Foley, who's going to take us through the habitat design and some of the really awesome features that these spaces provide the elephants.
Hi, thank you, Mindy. Again, my name is Katie Foley. I'm a senior wildlife care specialist here with the elephants for the last 13 years. And I tell you, this is the most amazing thing that the elephants have experienced for a very long time. Here we have our beautiful Elephant Valley habitat. Right now we have our elephants foraging. This is by far, not only is it beautiful, but it's functional. It creates a beautiful dynamic experience for the elephants as well as the guests. But the elephants now have beautiful walking paths. Now we have extra features and resources here to provide them that they never used to have. So it's really awesome to be able, one, as a keeper, to use this space, but to see how the elephants really utilize their space as well and appreciate it. Everything in this yard and habitat was designed to promote elephant physical health as well as mental health. So we have all these different planters that inside have now new additional trees brings natural shading to our elephants, also natural ability to get out of visibility from guests if they wanted to. Before, it was just a big open space, and now it has so much more dimensions, dynamics to their space, and they're utilizing it beautifully. As you can see, Kosi over here is actually foraging from one of our elevated feeding options. So she is doing exactly what we want to see as an elephant in their natural habitat, foraging, eating, utilizing the muscles in her trunk. And that's just one example. And throughout this yard, as you can see, we can pan through, we have these beautiful rock automatic timed feeders. This is the first time in history at the park that we've actually been able to give our elephants food around the clock care and food. So we can actually time them to be dropped throughout the night, which is really cool. So now they're able to get food and resources without the keepers present here. They also have additional water sources, so that way it eliminates the competition for resources here. The elephants can actually go be elephants and do their own thing, but they also can come together. We have these different areas where they have community groups that we can provide for them. If you keep looking down here, we have our mom and calf, our 13-year-old calf, Swazi, foraging with her daughter Nisa. Again, it's so beautiful here. Everything designed here was to help the elephants and do what they naturally do. So we also have this beautiful watering hole I want to highlight. This watering hole was designed for elephants of all ages, for calves, because we are a breeding facility. We do plan on having more babies in the future. But it's really cool that even our potential geriatric females one day will be able to have the accessibility to get into the watering hole at all different angles. It's such a beautiful design. What I really love about our facility is that we have heaters and beautiful shade structures that provide our elephants beds and heat throughout the winter months, especially. So we never have to pull elephants up off our habitat. They get to stay out here 24/7. And even now we have all this beautiful grass. Before we didn't have grass, the elephants do love to graze. So we do see them actually utilizing the ability to graze. And it's something that the keepers actually have to keep up on as well. But it's quite fun to get to see them do that, because before we never got to see that. Another really awesome thing that what we can do is actually change how they're utilizing their space. So these drinkers are also timed. So we can actually control how exactly we want the elephants to utilize their space. We're seeing that they're actually walking more, because we can actually determine whether they're going to get food on one side of the yard or the habitat and the other side. So it's pretty phenomenal to be able to utilize and actually get them to start thinking and searching for their food where they haven't had to have that ability before. We really see that they're mentally stimulated, but physically stimulated with this new habitat, and they're just thriving here. So it's been pretty awesome to be a part of and experience. I just want to say that this has been a phenomenal experience to be a part of, and also get to see the elephants thriving has been wonderful. Mm-hmm. We do have some training going on in our other habitat, and so I do want to pan over to Lauren Hogan and Evan Miracle, who will show you a little bit about our training here at that safari park.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Hogan. I'm the wildlife care supervisor here at Elephants. I've got Evan Miracle behind. Around. It's an incredible feature that we have here in Elephant Valley. This is one of our multiple training walls that we can work the elephants while they're in their habitat. So like Katie said, the elephants can stay on the habitat. You can see the vast habitat behind them. And then we can call them to these training walls and do training sessions throughout the day. And guests are right above this training wall, so they can look right down and watch the training that we're doing. And the training that we do here at the safari park is all trust-based, positive reinforcement. So we ask for behaviors, and when the elephant doesn't correct, we give that bridge and then followed with that reinforcement. So a lot of the behaviors that we do here are husbandry behaviors, but we also do research-based behaviors. So we can collect multiple points of data from the elephants, including blood draws, milk collections, trunk wash, body measurements, And we can use that data to help support our conservation partners all around the world. So we can compare that data. We can help with technologies that can be used in wild elephant research. You can see we can get up close to basically any body part on these elephants. And that's unique to, being here at the safari park. You can't get that close to wild elephants all the time. So we're able to use the behaviors and the information that we gather here to compare. So here at the wall, we can ask for basically any body part. We can ask them to turn around, put their trunk up. We can ask for their ears. And we can use the ear behavior for a blood draw, or we can use it to put on a collar. So maybe collars in the past for research projects. We can test the technologies that they're going to be on wild elephants and make sure that the collar itself is sturdy enough to stay on these elephants for as long as they need to collect the data. We make sure it's comfortable. We make sure it reads correctly. So these elephants can wear this collar overnight or for a few days at a time. And we can make sure that information is being gathered correctly. So from a lean in here, we can see all parts of their bodies. We can see their tails. We can go down to their feet. And again, looking behind Zuli, you can see the whole habitat out there. He's out here with his mom right now. She's also getting a training session. And sometimes they can even help us in giving that collar back. So you can hear Evan's whistle as Zuli does those behaviors. He'll get that whistle and then he'll get that reinforcement that quickly follows behind. And that reinforcement or that whistle really just tells Zuli that exact moment is the correct behavior that we want. And you can see how relaxed and calm Zuli is during this training session. And these elephants choose to participate. They choose to come over to this training wall and work with us throughout the day. And it's really incredible for guests to see that relationship. We've always done this training style here, but guests really didn't have an up-close view like they're getting now. So I'm hearing lots of oohs and ahs from the guests every day as they're coming in. It's a really incredible experience for them, and it's different every single day. Some days they'll see us training Zuli. Some days they'll see a pool party or a mud party. Some days they'll see us training all the elephants on the line. So it's just really a unique experience for the guests. So again, here's an example of us taking body measurements that we can use to compare to wild elephants. One of our new studies that we're going to be potentially working on is collecting body measurements here. So length, width, weight of our elephants. And then they're going to be comparing that with wild elephants, but they're going to be trying to collect that information from a drone. So we're going to help get their technologies up to speed so they can collect that data from a drone and be able to look down at the elephants to guess their body weight and their mass. I don't know if you can hear, but one of the unique things that I love with guests being this close to these elephants is hearing their chomping, hearing their breath as they exhale. It's just an incredible experience that, again, guests didn't have before. And that's really powerful. Hearing these elephants crunch their food, hearing their exhales when they're playing and when they're sparring. And it's just really incredible for the guests. Here's a good example of a blood draw behavior. So we can collect blood from behind the ears. You can see Zuli's veins back there. It's a chilly morning in San Diego, but typically those veins are nice and plump, about the diameter of your thumb sometimes when it's really hot. So we can come back here and do really good cleaning because these elephants are constantly covered in mud and dirt, but we can clean behind that ear and then get ready to do a blood draw. So we keep these sessions variable. So sometimes they get a blood draw, sometimes they don't. We always want to make sure we're being proactive in our training for things we're going to need in the future. Zuli gets a blood draw about every other week to help us with our EEHV study. So we keep that behavior maintained throughout the week by doing practice blood draws. Now, Zuli, I didn't even introduce you to him, but he's a 7-year-old male. He's the only male living here at the safari park with his herd of mom and aunties. There's a cute little mouth open there. You can see maybe that he's got 4 teeth inside of there. And this is a great behavior to have if we want to train oral fluids or meds. It's a nice example of giving him some fluids and then we can ask him to swallow or just let him do it on his own. It can also be used as just variable reinforcement as well. See if we can hear a crunch.
Yeah, what was it? Oh. There's the crunch. Yes, you can definitely hear that. All right. So.
Oh, yeah. So Zuli is one of 8 elephants that we have here at the safari park. They each have unique personalities that guests are really starting to kind of pick out. It's really fun to watch guests try to ID who's who in the herd. And like Mindy was saying, they all work together as a herd. They have dynamic social structures within the herd. So Zuli is Indula's son. So she's one of our adult females. We have 3 adult females and then their calves. So that's kind of 3 little subfamilies, but they all most of the time hang out together as a herd, moving between the 2 habitats. We can separate the families to do training sessions throughout the day, but for the most part, they're together. We also collect data throughout the night on this herd. So we collect how long they're sleeping, where they're sleeping, who they're choosing to spend their time with. We look at the different social interactions overnight. And all of that can be used again to compare to wild elephants or just to make sure our herd is doing as best as they can. We did all of that data collection throughout our construction process for Elephant Valley as well, just to make sure their herd dynamics stayed the same. They looked great throughout the project. They lived in this area the whole time, so that was a really dynamic experience for them as well. And they were able to get the different parts of the habitats as they were completed bit by bit. So they learned this habitat very quickly. There's an impressive lie down behavior from Zuli. This is a great behavior to see how flexible their body is if they're feeling good enough to lay down. We can also do blood draws from this position as well. Nice calm position. And this is how they would lay down at night. We give them little sand mounds to lay down at night. And again, these behaviors, the guests really didn't get to see up close before. So it's just really fun to share this side of our work with the guests. So each elephant gets about a training session a day here at the safari park, sometimes more. And sometimes we just let the herd be the herd for the day. So sometimes we don't do any formal training sessions. We'll move them from space to space to clean and put enrichment and their diets out. But sometimes those are fun days for the herd. They can just be out being a herd, moving together as a unit and enjoying their days. You can see Evan doing a little eye exam there. I don't know if you can see the incredible eyelashes or the little fuzzy hairs on his head. So we can use a light to look inside their eye. And again, that all takes training. So getting him used to us coming up close to his eye, opening his eye, using a flashlight. And you can see again how calm Zuli is. So all trust-based training, all positive reinforcement. The elephants get the choice to come over to this training wall or not when they're on habitat. So here at the safari park, the elephants get a variety of hay. They also get a ton of tree branches or browse. So we have about 50 different species of browse that we can give the elephants, and they get about 200 pounds a day of browse as a herd. So the herd is fed all together, and that browse is really important for their diet, really important for the health of their teeth. It's also a nice social dynamic for the herd. When we put a big pile of browse out there, they can all come together and eat. And this space here, right where Zuli is right by our west pond, and that's right near Mukutano House, which is the beautiful restaurant that we have here. So when guests come and they're dining in Mukutano House, they may even be able to see the elephants in the pond or here at the training walls or right up close. So it's just an incredible experience.
We were down to.
It's a nice foot present from Zuli here. We can measure his foot. Again, we have the luxury of being so close to these elephants, so we can get these measurements that are otherwise difficult to collect on wild elephants. So as Zuli wraps up his session here, we can probably start taking some questions. Again, thank you to Evan, our senior wildlife care specialist here, and all of our team for letting you guys get up close to the elephants today.
Wow, guys, that is amazing. As people put their questions in the chat, why don't we start with talking more about the great conservation work you guys are doing? So you talk about being able to get samples and things like that, but can you give us some examples of different studies you've been a part of?
Yeah, so one study that we're going to be starting to work on here shortly is a drone study. They're going to put drones out into the wild. They want to check on the body mass of elephants, estimate an age potentially, and estimate their size. So we're going to be helping collect the data kind of on the back end for that. So we have weights that we take on the elephants at least twice a month. Again, we can collect that length of their body. We can collect their height. And then we can also use a drone here to get that footage from above with our known data that they can then compare with elephants in the wild. We've also been a part of an EEHV study, so collecting data and being able to help elephants with different information based on that. We can do blood, we can do trunk washes.
That's wonderful. So just to drive it home for everyone, these elephant ambassadors that are here in your care are actually providing information that will help the wild populations that will never meet these girls and guys.
That's correct.
That's great. We have someone asking in the chat, how long did construction take for this Elephant Valley? I know you guys went through some incredible processes to get this all done.
This is Christy. I can take that question. The project and construction actually took 3.5 years, but we began designing in 2019. So it's probably one of the in our organization's history. And the reason for that is that Lauren talked about it earlier, occurred with the herd here. And so we had a philosophy within our organization along with our construction partners, which was herd first, meaning the elephants take priority. There were many times where we stopped, we changed a dynamic of a habitat to ensure that our elephants were meeting the highest care and well-being. So it took a long time, but as you can see, it was well worth the wait. I came down to the lower west watering hole so you could get a good look at where Zuli and Ndula are interacting with their care specialists. So this is a platform here, and you can see how large this watering hole is. It's 250,000 gallons, and our elephants can actually submerge in this pool. So it's one of the highlights, one of my favorite places to see just behind that. And as I turn slightly, you can get a better look at Mukutano House. There's a downstairs and upstairs. There's 3 different opportunities for our guests to enjoy the natural flavors of Kenya by sitting down, or they can go over to a 2 grill where they can grab some food and go and enjoy our Mukutano Park, which is really set up for education. So more opportunities to share the work that Internet side with the San Diego Zoo Safari Park.
Amazing. People are very impressed by the pool and the water filter. And they're asking, do you have filtrations in the pool, or is it like you just replace the water every now and then periodically? How does that work?
I can take that one, Sarah. Yeah, both pools are on a filtration system. The pool by Mukutano House is on a much bigger filtration system, pulling out all the fine particles. The pool in the east is on a screen filter and then chemically treated. And so it's going to have a little bit of a muddier look to it from the dirt from the elephants as they swim in the pool. So the 2 pools offer a little bit of a different experience for the elephants too. If they want to swim in a nice clean pool, or I should say clear, because they're both clean, then they can choose to do that. And the pools are actually designed a little bit differently too. The pool in the east habitat is really deep. And the pool in the west habitat has deep portions of it, but there's also some boulders hidden in the water. The elephants like to stand in there and sort of fall off into the water and play kind of when they spar and they are play fighting in the water, then one of the younger ones often gets elevated up on top of that rock above the larger elephants to play in the water. So it's fun. They can utilize different attributes of each of these pools.
That's wonderful. So going along with the boulders and the rocks, someone's asking about the automated feeders that are in the rocks and different things. Are those something that you guys designed in-house, or are those ready-made for exhibit design? How does that work?
Yeah, the feeders they're a type of automated feeder. And then the boulder designed around it was designed in-house by the wildlife care specialist team working closely with our architects. We wanted something that looked hidden and also accessible to the herd with ease, and for the wildlife care specialists maintaining those with ease. So there's one right in front of me here. And I don't know if you can see on the screen, but it's got a little mesh in the front. So they're essentially slow feeders. The automated feeders often drop flakes at a time, but we have it dropped into a mesh system. So it's a slow feeder, allowing the elephants to eat at a more natural rate and work for their food like they naturally would.
Awesome. So are there other species that share this space with the elephants, or is it just elephants?
The habitat is designed just for the elephant herd. We do have native wildlife. When the trees started going in, we slowly started to see an influx in native bird species, more diverse bird species than we've had in this space before. So that's pretty cool to see. And then the native habitat, native animals that we coexist with are welcome to come and go as they please.
As always, which is wonderful. And I bet that provides some cool enrichment opportunities with the elephants too.
Yeah, it's great to see.
Talking about your herd, how many elephants do you have? How many babies have been born?
Hi, yeah. So we currently have 8 elephants here. We've had over 14 babies born since 2004. So it's been pretty remarkable to have all the natural breeding as well as natural birthing here at the safari park. So yeah, all the babies that we have been born on habitat, which is really, really cool. Not many facilities have that luxury to have one natural breeding here at the park and then get to see those births happen live. And it's such a communal experience for all the elephants. They really come together when the mother is getting into labor. So watching the young and the juvenile elephants actually get to watch that is also teaching them how to basically take care of their young in the future. So it's really great to see this generation of elephants here at the park.
Amazing. And with all those babies born at the park, they're obviously not all still there. So maybe talk a little bit about how you guys have helped other zoos fulfill their desire to have elephants and the cooperative program that you guys have to make sure the genetics here in the United States stay strong.
Of course, it is actually really cool to be a part of. We work with the species survival plan here at the safari park. So we have had a few males. So out in the wild, the males would get moved to different herds or get kicked out of the matriarchal herd to find new herds to breed with or maybe form bachelor herds. So we created that or tried to recreate that the best that we could, as that when our young males reached that sexual maturity level, when they started to start sampling and testing the females a little bit, we actually worked with other zoos around the country and were able to relocate our males so they had actually elephants to have for their facilities and also be able to promote the conservation work that we're doing. So those males can now get pulled for other zoos potentially around the nation to be new breeders or just form bachelor herds in other facilities. So that way there's multiple elephants that can thrive, because our herd is so behaviorally well with, having this dynamic of community that they've grown up with. So now they're able to share that with other facilities is really special.
That's excellent. It helps definitely add to the sustainability of the population here of our elephant ambassadors. So people are asking about the training wall. When you guys are working with one of your elephants at the training wall, do the elephants ever try to, quote, playfully steal food from the treats that you have from your bucket or your treat bag? And obviously, are the elephants ever, kind of eagerly waiting at the training wall to start getting involved?
That's a great question because they are incredibly smart and they pick up on cues. We do, however, do a lot of training to avoid any stealing of the buckets or stealing of the treats. So we ask the elephants to wait until we ask them to do something, and then they get that bridge and reinforcement. So waiting for your reinforcement, waiting for those training cues gets you a lot more reinforcement than stealing a little snack ahead of time. And the elephants do sometimes see us walking to these training walls and they'll meet us here. But our goal here at the safari park is really to have the elephants be elephants most of the day. So they're out as a herd. We kind of don't want them paying attention to us until we're calling them over by name. Zuli may be heading out here in a minute, so we'll wave a quick goodbye to him. But like I said, we do try to have them wait for us to call them over. And they do all know their names. They come when they're called and then get that bridge and that reinforcement that quickly follows. But because we have such a high reinforcement history with them, if they see us, most of the time they do walk over and enjoy those training sessions.
It's gonna come flying by.
And do you guys have, do you know which everyone's favorite treat is? So
there goes Ndula, Zuli's mom. They do kind of all have different treats that are their favorites, but most of the time they get alfalfa pellet, cucumber, celery, carrots, and yams during their training. They all really enjoy the alfalfa pellet. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, and they all really enjoy a nice head of lettuce, which I think is just wonderful. It's nice and crunchy and cool for them, gives them some hydration.
Absolutely. And how big is the entire Elephant Valley area?
The elephants have about 6 acres in their habitats, and then Elephant Valley as a guest space is about 13 acres. So guests can really, spend all day in Elephant Valley if they want to, looking at all the different aspects of it.
That's amazing. We have someone asking, so we know you guys have had very successful natural breeding here at the safari park, but where did the elephants originally come from? Do you know what countries they originally were from?
I can take that one. Yeah, three adult females that are here were rescued from Swaziland, which is now Eswatini, in 2003. They were part of a scheduled cull, and we worked closely with Zoo Tampa and rescued 11 elephants. 7 originally came here. We have had, like Katie said, such great breeding success with this herd. And working with our partners in AZA, we have fractured the herd in family units and have satellite herds in other zoos and bachelor herds in other zoos.
That's amazing. I think for our viewers' context, occasionally different range countries will have culls where they round up elephants because they're trying to thin their herds. Sometimes it's a response to human-elephant conflict, things like that. And they're going to kill these elephants because they're nuisance elephants or whatever their rationale is. And so when we have US facilities that have stepped in and, like you said, rescued them from that fate, you've given them a new lease on life, you've expanded the genetics and the gene pool here in the United States, and like you've demonstrated, they can participate in conservation work that helps their wild cousins, which is pretty impressive. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Maybe you guys can talk about some of the experiences or interactions that you guys have available for visitors who come to Elephant Valley. What kind of things can people expect? Obviously, you guys do keeper talks.
Hi, yeah, I can take that one. One of my favorite things to see, especially as a guest perspective too in the summer, is the mud bogs. I know we talked about that a little bit, or Christy did. So elephants obviously take care of their own skin out in the wild, and here at the park we can recreate that for them too. So we have this beautiful mud bogs that are set up throughout their habitat. One of which is actually right on the guest path, which is really cool. So the guests will see the elephants bathing together in this mud wallow, getting super silly, laying down in it, sometimes even splashing mud on the guests themselves. So it's really giving them a full experience to be immersed in the elephant world, really. And it's really, really cool to see when this huge body gets in a mud wallow and their whole body is covered, just sopping with mud as they get out. It's really cool. And not only that, but we can also hang different browse pieces that are right in front of their faces that they can see. We can hide food items inside the hay flakes, inside the hay. We can dig holes in the ground with heavy machinery. And so the elephants actually have to then dig the ground from underneath and then get the food. So it's really cool that the guests get to see these natural adaptations that the elephants have and exactly how they're using them at the park here. It's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Do you guys have any education programs for school children or public field trips, things like that, where people can learn about your elephants?
Yeah, there's definitely lots of that here at the safari park. We have walking tours, we have roar and snore. There are school groups that come from time to time that we will, of course, talk to them and just basically do keeper talks. We can do specific training sessions when it's like maybe a college tour or maybe someone that has a little bit more insight on education and conservation work. So it is really awesome to be able to connect with the guests and be able to do those for them.
That's amazing. Can you tell us more about what a roar and snore is?
Oh yeah, let me tell you. So actually you can't really see, but there's a few little tents right here behind me. And it's a really cool experience that people pay for. So they get to spend the night here on grounds. They get to hear the lions roar. They get to hear the elephants trumpet. They get to sleep literally right next to the elephant habitat. So they hear them playing in the pool at, the late night hours or early morning hours. It is absolutely amazing. And they have special events that also they have APs. They do walking guides at night. It's quite they obviously feed you very well as well too. So it's pretty cool to be involved in a roar and snore here. If you haven't experienced it, it's quite an opportunity.
Wow, what an incredible experience. Is there a maximum number of elephants that you guys can hold in this new habitat?
That's a great question. Mindy or Does anyone else want to take that?
Yeah, I could take that. We've had 18 elephants here at the park. Depending upon age and social compatibility, that will influence that. I think 15 is probably the ideal number that we'd like to stay at. But again, the size of the calves, the social complexity, having a breeding bull who is here to help the younger males socialize and watch breeding and how to, be appropriate when interacting with a family group is vital. Those are vital learning opportunities for them. So, keeping these young males here with an adult male as long as possible until essentially the females are telling us that they don't want the young males with the herd anymore. We kind of followed their lead in managing that.
Very smart.
Sarah, I'd like to also say one more thing. Katie touched on what guests can experience here. A big part of Elephant Valley was connecting with the community, and Mukutano Park is a huge park, and it has different tents and areas for education, and we have an entire education team that welcomes the local school groups in, and they have learning opportunities. There's storytelling on the other end of Elephant Valley, so you can enter and exit the space from 2 locations, talking about some of the other conservation work with local farmers and how to keep your crops safe, some of the different ideas and methods that are utilized, right? And because elephants are smart, those are constantly evolving. So part of that education process and coexisting is also trying to help the youth understand when they come here for education programs about coexistence in our own backyard. San Diego is a diverse habitat with species who are endangered and need protection as well. So getting that emotional connection and learning what they can do for conservation in their own backyard is a big part of what Mukutano Park offers for our local community.
Perfectly said. It is so important for people to get that emotional connection with the wildlife because that is what will inspire them to change behavior and take action to make sure that these animals don't go extinct. Along that same line, and a topic that we've covered in a lot of conservation chats, can you guys tell us more about EHV and the testing that you guys do and what you're contributing to make sure that EHV hopefully becomes a thing of the past?
Yeah, I can take that as well, Sarah. Sometimes when you're caring for elephants, there are questions that are proposed that we don't know. And having elephants in human care is a big responsibility. And our responsibility is to continue to contribute to learning all that we can. We participated in a very large EEHV study with this herd where we collected blood, saliva, urine, fecal swabs, and mouth swabs weekly for an entire year. That was in collaboration with several other zoos. And the data was so robust that it took almost 3 years to process that. But that contributed to some of the learning about routine shedding in elephants. Our contributions to helping with the vaccine studies and continued monitoring and participating in AZA groups and IEF groups and getting involved in the community. But having this herd really allows us to get insight that you might not otherwise be able to have. We've been able to participate in some medication, the treatment studies to see what the efficacy is of it. How long does it take their body to metabolize it and process it at different intervals, so we can try to understand how to better treat the virus if the elephants were ever to get that.
Incredible and so important. I mean, I can't stress enough how important that work is and making a difference for elephants around the world. One last quick question from the chat. I mean, you talked about it a little bit. Do the elephants eat the greenery and the trees already planted? And what kind of stuff do you have to do to maintain them so they always have those browse?
Do they eat the browse? Do they always eat the browse?
Yes, so they love eating the browse, and they will try to. We have to protect the trees.
Well, they try to eat this.
They actually do try to eat thorny acacia, we have to work with our arborists and our horticulture department to constantly prune and maintain the area and the trees in our area. So it's awesome to see that elephants are so in tune to their environment. They see the trees in their area and they want to eat them. But we do work with our hort and we provide them lots of different variety of fresh browse.
Beautiful. Well, thank you guys. We're coming up on the hour, so I want to give everyone huge thanks from us for doing this. If anyone has any quick closing remarks, maybe tell us what people can do, and obviously everyone should come visit Elephant Valley.
Yes, thank you so much for having us and allowing us to share this wonderful habitat space and, of course, the herd, which is our favorite part. If you want to learn more about the work that we do for elephant conservation, you can go to sdzwa.org.
And thank you again, Sarah, Julie, and Debbie for allowing us to join you for this conservation chat. And Julie put in the chat to please look at go to International Elephant Foundation to learn more how you can donate to this incredible organization.
Thank you guys so much. Julie, let me hand it over to you.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to invite everybody, if you're still on, to maybe turn your cameras on and let's give these folks a big round of applause. It was just an incredible presentation. I've been to San Diego Zoo Safari Park, but not since Elephant Valley's opened, and I hope to get out there to see you all soon. But I hope everybody on the call gets a chance to actually go out there and visit and see this incredible habitat that they have for these elephants. It's just absolutely amazing. So thank you all so much again for everything.